Well, we want to make sure that everybody boycotts Puma because Puma supports the Israeli Football Association, it sponsors it formally, and the Israeli Football Association accepts teams from settlements in occupied Palestinian territory. Those settlements are illegal under international law, so we cannot accept Puma supporting the Israeli Football Association.
I'm here to show my support for Palestine and boycotting Puma goods. I've been involved with them for about 6 months or so. I found when I discovered really what was happening in Palestine, the suffering that they were going through every day for really no good reason, I decided that it was time to get involved. We have to really end Israeli war crime and stand up where we can.
Yeah. And do you think people in the West know about what's happening in Israel?
Unfortunately not. There is an absolute whitewash of our media. You can forget BBC offering any fair reporting whatsoever, and any other mainstream outlets have a very similar sort of outlook, which is unfortunate. But yeah, this is what we're working towards today.
We're here today calling on Puma to end its sponsorship of the Israel Football Association, because the Israel Football Association has Israeli teams from illegal settlements based inside of Palestine, operating on land stolen from Palestinians. Every single settlement inside the West Bank is a war crime under international law, and so we're building up as much pressure as possible to hold Israel accountable, and a part of that is making sure that companies like Puma aren't complicit and aren't supporting the infrastructure which maintains the occupation and the war crimes which Israel is committing against Palestinians.
We're asking people to boycott Puma because Puma sponsors Israeli soccer. Israeli soccer operates in the West Bank, which is illegally occupied, and there's no disagreement about that. I understand by the laws of FIFA itself, Israel shouldn't be in the organisation. Israel has bombed Palestinian soccer fields. There's 1 or 2 young men, they captured them, stopped them and shot them in the legs. Promising young soccer players ended their careers. It's just a question of justice and human rights. It's not about being anti-Israel or anything. They hold on to what they have as far as I'm concerned, but just end the injustice and the suffering of the Palestinians. It's not needed on security grounds. And I would particularly address my own government, British government, that's who I'm speaking at, and speak up about what's going on. Just say that it's wrong. It's wrong that children are imprisoned after they've signed a confession in a language they don't understand, that young teenagers are put in solitary confinement in a matter of routine, and so much more.
I've been involved in supporting Palestinian human rights for many years now. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition boycotts, and I do believe that boycotting a company like Puma that's attaching their reputation to the Israeli football team is an excellent non-violent way to protest that and support Palestinian human rights.
And can you tell me a bit more about your flotilla work?
The flotilla has been going for more than a decade now to challenge the illegal Israeli blockade of Gaza. It's the only port in the Mediterranean Sea which is closed, and it means that you have 2 million people trapped, unable to leave by land or by sea, and many of them are children, and I just think it's an atrocious outrage against their human rights, and unfortunately, thanks to geopolitics and racism, those people's rights are being ignored.
When we know that Palestine is occupied, when we know that people of Palestine are living in conditions so close to people living in conditions which are so much greater in terms of access to healthcare, water, food, transport, denied their freedom of movement, it's the Palestinian people in occupied Gaza that don't have it. and there are Palestinian people in Gaza being shot constantly. People wanting to play sport or not wanting to play sport or never now able to play sport. And companies like Puma selling their sports gear complicit in these attacks, the sniping, the shooting, which goes on almost daily at the security fence which Israel has erected to prevent the Palestinian people of Gaza from returning home. That's why we've got to stand up against companies like Puma, which are complicit in these war crimes.